Okay, so about 3 weeks ago, well, at least at the time of recording this video, I went to an event that I paid a lot of money from to learn from a very, very smart person. So I could come back and teach it to you. And one of the topics he talked about was the power of reverse engineering. So, what is reverse engineering? My bad. Let me back up. If you don't know who I am, my name is Gerard Henry. I'm the creator and founder of Artist Rise. If you're here, you most likely should be aware of me. With that being said, I'm explaining to you what reverse engineering is, which is simply the idea of learning what's working and then you reverse engineer it to do it for yourself so you can get the same result. That's all it is. Now that you now understand what reverse engineering is, the next step is for me to explain to you what you need to do to succeed. So, after working with over 1,000 visual artists and literally helping dozens of artists cross six figures, by the way, six figures is $100,000, right? What I want to talk about is the 7 key characteristics or traits or actions those artists have in common that just seem to be key components to hitting six figures. Some of these artists hit high six figures, close to 7 figures. Some of these artists hit 6 figures in a single month. Some of these artists start at absolute zero in case you're at zero and then scale to 6 figures a year. So what I want to get into is the details of what's the key things that you could be implementing in your art career to get to that goal of like 6 figures if you wanted to. By the way, 6 figures is about $8,500 per month, which is not that much. I mean, it's a lot of money. Don't get me wrong, it's a lot of money. But when I say it's not that much, I mean it's not that complicated to achieve if you just apply the correct steps as a visual artist. With that being said, I got some notes here because I forget a lot. So my notes is very bland, honestly. There's no details. So I'm kind of talking about this. I just have the key topics. So first, the main thing that's very consistent across all my artists who have had $8,500 months or more all have expensive prices on their work. So they usually have some lower tier, which would be prints ranging anywhere from like $100 all the way up to maybe like $700. And usually originals will start at $1,000. And originals would typically get as expensive as $10,000 for a single original. I do have a few artists who originals get all the way up to like $30,000, $40,000, but that's extremely uncommon, right? And here's the beautiful thing. You see, the good thing is if you've been watching my videos in this YouTube channel, I've been laying out exactly how to start selling your artwork consistently online. If you follow what I teach, if you get in enough conversations, you get 2 people to spend, let's say, $3,000 on your artwork in a single month, you already at $6,000 in a single month. Like, oh crap, I don't even have my other phone in here. But I was going to show an example. But recently I had a student of mine who just sold the artwork for 4,500 pounds, right? Now, USD, that's about 5,500 pounds. That's one sale. Because of that one sale, she's already halfway at the $10,000 mark. So this is why you want to have much higher prices. And here's the thing. I always teach my artists to try and sell the more expensive work first, because if someone can't afford that more expensive piece, it's much easier to switch them to an artwork that fits their budget. So what am I saying? Offer that $5,000 artwork and then let that buyer tell you no, it's too expensive, they can't afford it, which is fine, and just simply ask them what can they afford, what fits their budget. And then when you do, they may say, I only have 700. Then you can switch them to a different artwork that fits their budget. So by offering the most expensive works first, you don't lose anything. You just raises the chances of those more expensive works selling. So first thing first, as I just mentioned, have high prices on some of your work. Now, you can't have all your prices high. You can't say my prices range from 4,000 to 10,000, because if you do, you're going to leave out a huge market of potential buyers. Like, there's going to be people who really love your work, but they just only have $500. And you don't want to miss out on $500 just because you don't have a print or something that meets their budget. So that's how you want to first go about pricing. I don't know how this turned into a training. It's supposed to just be like tips. Hope you're taking notes. Second, all my artists that sell a lot of work and make 6 figures within a year, they all have large work to complement the expensive prices. So what I'm talking about when I say large work, I'm talking about artworks that's 36 by 48 inches or larger. When people see larger work, it's easier to justify the price. So if I show like some of my students, I actually show an example of this. So let me just go on Instagram here. And you'll quickly notice that like a piece that's of scale, like actual scale, will automatically just feel like it's worth more, right? So you want to be working at scale. And once again, because it feel like it's worth more because of the scale, it becomes easier to sell for more, which is absolutely crucial. So I'll show you this. This is one of my artists here. This is her like older works, as you can see. Here, this is like older work. So here's her older work here. If you could focus. Smaller work, not that big, right? But if I go to the work now these are the sizes of the work. This is about the average size. Because it's more large scale. And that's because more large scale just draw more interest. More interest lead to more people inquiring. And then when it's time to actually let them know the price, we want to set at higher prices. It's easier to justify those larger prices when you're working on large scale work. So first, high prices. Second, large scale work. I mean, it's that simple, right? The reality is if you sell 36 by 48 pieces at $3,000 each, as I mentioned, that's $6,000. You'll make that money. Period. Here's where it gets good. In the last 5 years, my team and I had 21,000 visual artists schedule calls to see about work on me. As of right now, today, I work right now with about 1,000 visual artists. I'm saying this to say this. After talking to so many artists that I don't work with and artists that I do, I noticed the biggest problem that's holding artists back from succeeding is their relationship to money. And this is the third thing I noticed my artists who hit 6 figures do not struggle with. So what do I mean by this? So usually when I talk to a new artist that want to work with me and my team and help them scale up, they usually say, hey, I want to set my goal at 10,000, 15, 20, whatever the goal may be. But then I ask, do you genuinely deep down believe you could achieve that goal? And they're like, no. And it's mainly because they don't have a great relationship with money. They usually feel like money isn't needed. Even if as a visual artist, if you talk about finances, it's like you're not a real visual artist, right? So you're told like not to talk about money, not to worry about it. You belong in a studio. It's not important. So your brain is being programmed to believe finances is not important. When it's not important, we don't usually care about things that's not important. And when we don't care about it, we have a bad relationship with it. The artists that I work with that sell a lot of art, they have a great relationship with money. Like they understand how powerful it is. They understand it could change their life and they want a lot of it. That's just the reality. And hearing this right now, and here's how you know if you have a bad relationship with money. Me talking about this right now, saying it's powerful, they want a lot of it, you probably start to like take step backs, like start to feel like, I don't need that. I don't know about that. That means you currently have a bad relationship with money. I want you to understand that. And if that's you, then understand like we're gonna change that right now. So here's the thing. What those artists that hit 6 figures understand is that money is nothing more than a resource. It's a tool, just like the paint you use to paint on your canvas. With that resource, you could do amazing things, such as give back to those in need. You can do amazing things such as buying better art supplies to create better artwork. You can put your kids through private school. You can get a nicer vehicle and a nicer home so you have a more comfortable living. You can buy that studio you always dreamed of, right? Now, with that being said, you can do some really, really, really amazing things if you have the finances to do so. And those artists understand that. So they want a lot of it. They have a really great relationship with money. And they understand, and what I truly believe as well, is that the amount of money you make, if you're doing like good deeds, right? We're talking about doing the right thing. You shouldn't be doing anything illegal. But the amount of money you make doing good deeds, right, is in direct proportion to your impact. I truly believe this. Now, don't get me wrong. There are some industries where people are underpaid. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about like when you decide to launch your own business, and as you're selling artwork, you're a business person. In that particular case, the money you make is in direct proportion to your contribution or your impact. So here's the thing. The more homes you make beautiful, right? The more homes you put your artwork inside, the more impact you have. The more impact you have, the more you're rewarded financially. And these artists understand this. Like, I talk to two type of artists. I have artists that say, I just want to keep my work. I don't want to sell my originals. And then there's other artists who say, I want to sell everything. Like, it all must go. And I want it to be gone today if I can. Like, if I have 100 pieces, I want 0 left, right? Because now that's 100 artworks in different people's homes. Let's say it's 100 different people. You just impacted 100 people's lives through your artwork. So you will be rewarded for that, right? So I'm saying this to just say the third point is they have an amazing relationship with money, and they understand it's a tool, it's a resource. And if you're a great person, you can do a lot of great things with it. You could take your art career to the absolute like next level. You could work on projects that's bigger than what your brain could probably even imagine. You could help others with it. You could help take care of your family. You could pay for health insurance, right? Provide the best education to your kids and your family, and just do so many amazing things. And they understand that, and they want a lot of it. So when I ask them what's their goal is like, my goal is $12,000 per month, and I'm confident like that's what I want, right? That's what I want. Speaking of that, I didn't write this down, but this is like a bonus. Speaking of, that's what they want. So bonus, they're very, 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 very high action takers. I mean, very high action takers. What I mean by this, like, I say something. I remember I had an artist. We still work together to this day. Her name, you should check her out. You should check her out. I'm actually highlight her here, because she's a freaking badass. I'm gonna tell you a badass. Her name is Lisa Marie, right? I'm gonna explain why. I literally would tell Lisa Marie. I actually have an interview with her on this YouTube channel. So this is like some of her work here. She do a lot of murals, if it could focus. Now, here's what's crazy about this artist. I would tell her, when we first met, she was showing up to every Q&A host with the artist I work with. And she'll ask literally the most questions every single week, Monday and Thursday, repeatedly. And literally she'll apply every single thing I share on those Q&A calls, like everything. Like, she'll ask Q&A calls she'll ask questions on the Q&A calls on that Monday. By that Thursday, she already applied everything. And now she's asking for more feedback by Thursday. Like, she was very, very high action taker, like not wasting any time. The crazy thing is, I got an interview with her on this channel. The crazy thing is that artist went on to do 100,000 in art sales in the first 6 months of meeting me. 6 months. She break it all down on that video. You can find it on my channel, named Lisa. Anyway, I'm saying that to say they are very high action takers. Like, they learn and they implement. What I noticed, one of the biggest things that artists that struggle to sell struggle with is implementation. Like, they learn, they get this dopamine of it feeling really great, and they're like, yep, they take 100,000 notes on paper, but then action is very minimal. So that's a bonus. Be a very high action taker. Got it? Cool. What's next? Going on to that. The next one is they're highly, highly motivated. What I mean by motivated is they understand exactly what they want out their art career, and they understand it very clearly, and they're willing to do whatever it takes to achieve it. There was a quote said by a guy named E.T., the hip hop preacher. I heard this a long time ago, like back when I first left school. And he says, you gotta want to succeed as bad as you want to breathe. So imagine your head was underwater, right? When your head underwater, your brain isn't thinking about what you're gonna do this weekend. Your brain isn't thinking about what you want to eat. It's not thinking about how you're tired. It's not thinking about that you're exhausted and you got work tomorrow. The only thing your brain is telling you is like, I need air. And in that moment, your body and your mind come together to do whatever it takes to get air, to get to that surface of that water. That's the only and that's the most important thing on your mind at that moment. You have to approach your okra the exact same way. You have to want to succeed as a visual artist as bad as you want to breathe, as bad as you want to be on this earth. As like you have to like freaking really, really, really want it. Really want it. I could do an entire video on this one topic alone. This is the one thing that literally changed my entire life. So with that being said, they're extremely motivated. Like they know just what they want and they're going to really give their entire life going to it. They're going to invest everything they can. They're going to put all their energy in. They're going to go all in on it. All in on it. And that's crucial. Let's keep it moving. This is a good one. So a lot of visual artists also have very welcoming personalities. Like very, very welcoming personalities. What do I mean by this? When I say a welcoming personality, they're usually outgoing. What I mean by outgoing is they're okay with showing themselves and putting themselves out there. And it's a big, big, big thing in the art space, because after talking to so many artists and work with so many artists, I understand visual artists just so introverted. Funny enough, even when I was in art school myself, from high school to college, I never was that introverted person, but literally all my art friends and classmates was all introverted. And the unfortunate part is the most successful artists I work with, they're not introverted. If they are, they have no problem with putting themselves out, at least online. Right? They're usually outspoken. They're usually pretty loud. They're really like, their personality is very vibrant and welcoming. Even if they're chill, like they have no problem getting in front of a camera. Right? So if that's you, that's something that you want to start working on immediately. By the way, here's another side note, a bonus. When I talk about these things, I want you to understand that some of these things are traits you don't have, or you may be the opposite. But please understand that it's up to you to decide if you want to make the necessary adjustments. If you constantly tell yourself, no, I can't do that, or no, I'm this, and you label yourself as something, you're going to believe that. You tell yourself, oh, I'm introverted. The minute you label yourself as an introvert, you're going to believe that. If you tell yourself, I'm a night person, when you label yourself as it, you're going to believe it. But one of my mentors once said, you are whatever you choose to be. And if you choose to be, then you work towards it, and that's what you will become. So if you're a night person, you choose to be a morning person, you work towards becoming a morning person, that's what you will be. So what I'm saying is, if you're introverted at this exact moment watching this video, and I just told you that 1% of my students are extroverted, they have no problem putting themselves out there. If you decide that you're going to be extroverted and start working on becoming extroverted over time, guess what? You'll be extroverted. Simple, right? These are literally the life hacks and things I wish someone had been telling me early on in my life. Like when I understood life is like a video game and I could create my player however I want, as long as I understand these guidelines, you can achieve whatever it is you want as a visual artist and just in life. Like at this point, I stopped saying visual artist anymore because I realized a visual artist just never had the proper guidance to just succeed in life. And that's why I create these videos. I spend a lot of money to go learn from who I would believe is the smartest minds online, and I come back and share it with you. So you could decide, because you still have to make a decision. You have to decide if you really want to succeed. If you decide, like, I really want to succeed, I want to be great, I'll share everything here for the most part. I can't share everything, but for the most part, right? So next, number 6, The artists I work with that do really, really well is very business oriented and business minded. That's just what it is. I would love to like say, hey, you don't have to worry nothing about business. You don't have to care about business. And yes, if you follow the strategies I teach, you'll make sales, right? But we talking about six figures here, right? If you're okay with 3,000, then you don't need these. You don't need majority of these traits. But if you're talking about like 10,000 plus, you have to become business minded, right? So what do I mean when I say business minded? When I mention the term business minded, I'm talking about these artists that do six figures are obsessed with marketing and sales. I did an interview with one of my students, Jonah, that's who created this artwork right here, who did literally 100,000 a single month. And that artist literally said he spent 90% of his time focusing on marketing and selling his work, and 10% of his time focusing on creating. Now, it's different for him though. So he's kind of cheating a little bit because he's a photographer. So he don't have to spend much time creating because he could go out one day, shoot 300 shots, choose 10, and he's good for the next like 3 months. But the overall just is loving business. And what I mean by loving business is loving the idea of being able to like market your work, get people to see it, having conversations with them, and getting those people to purchase. When you fall in love with that, you can scale your freaking art career as high as you want. You can scale it to the moon. And just becoming obsessed. Like, just be obsessed with that. Like, try to get in. You should want to get into as many conversations as you possibly can. Like obsession. At an artist, I know I'm calling a lot of artists I work with, but I spend a lot of time at my house, and all I do is like work on this business and interact with the artists I work with. So just bear with me. But the artist named Shaz. And Shaz was just obsessed with conversations. She was in so many conversations. That's because she was focused on selling art, which is an absolutely beautiful thing, right? So you want to be business minded. Business minded is just focusing on the business. Don't overthink it. Don't think you need to know like all the analytics and accounting and LLC setup and taxes. Like focusing on sales. Because one of my mentor always says, like, you're not even in business until you're making sales. Until you're making sales, you just have a expensive hobby, right? So get in business first. Focus on marketing your work, selling it. And I put all the tools here for you to do exactly so. Or you could really learn the details step by step to sell your artwork by clicking that link below. Let's continue. So, and then 7, the artists who are doing extremely well, like 6-figure artists, are extremely positive people, like extremely positive personalities. Extremely positive personalities. So you will never hear them speak negatively. I want to quote another artist. I have an artist named like Shakaya Leon. These are artists you should check out. These are phenomenal artists. But this student here, like, you can never get her to say something negative or like share a negative thought, no matter what the storm may have. And negative thoughts could be even saying like, this don't work for me, or I feel like I'm losing, or I feel like this is broken, or I feel like I can't succeed. So like an example, a person that says this don't work for me is such a negative thought versus them saying, what do I need to do better to become better, right? If a person says I'm struggling, they may say I need some help so I can improve, right? It's all positive thinking, and usually the words they use are like around the, like, I guess you could say the phrase of moving forward. It's like growth phrases, right? How to improve, right? And this is absolutely crucial because here's the thing. Don't get me wrong. Shit happens. Like, bad shit happens. Like, every last one of the artists I just mentioned and the artists I work with that hit 6 figures, they all had rough patches. Like, if you're your own business person and you're a visual artist and you want to take your career to the next level, you're going to have rough patches. That's just what comes with it. Like, there will be hard times. There will be slow months. There'll be some really freaking amazing months, but there'll also be slow ones. But even during the slow months, instead of them artists like dwelling on themselves and feel like the world is closing in on them, they simply focusing on what needs to happen next. How can I improve? What do I need to do that's different? Right? And when you have that type of mindset, it's hard for you not to succeed. Like at that point, literally, like success become the only option moving forward, which is absolutely fantastic because there's no room for failure. Like, I'm not letting negative energy or thoughts even into the room. Like, if you have a conversation with any one of these artists I mentioned, you're gonna realize the energy is so high and it's so positive that even if you speak of something negative, they're like, I don't want that here. That's because they want success, right? So with that being said, if you notice, listen to this video, you struggle with some of these, then start working on changing them immediately. Because if you're here because you want to succeed. You're here because you take your career serious. The only thing is, we usually have some habits or like mindsets and some like characteristics and traits we just need to adjust. But the quicker we can adjust them, the quicker we could crush it. See you in the next video.